Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so DeAndre Ayton, man, congratulations. He has signed an offer sheet, $133 million, 4 years with the Indiana Pacers. Of course, the Phoenix Suns have an opportunity to match that since he is restricted, but we know for a fact they will not. That is far more than they would have been willing to pay him, and so he will be a Pacer, most definitely. I think the most interesting aspect of this situation is the fact that he signed that offer sheet. Um, it was noted that the Pacers may not necessarily be inclined to do so based on the owner's past choices in regards to that. But in this case, Ayton did sign the offer sheet, and it looks like he's going to be out of Phoenix. So now he will not be used as a trade piece involving Kevin Durant unless something happens to which that is worked into the equation. But as of right now, it doesn't appear like that is the case. If it is not the case, I think Phoenix made a huge mistake in not trying to find a way to retain some value for him. Even if it wasn't what they intended, there should have been some value retained. Now, if they're able to work this into a sign and trade, my reaction is, well, let's see what the deal would be, obviously. But in this case, I am stunned. Stunned that the Suns actually let it get to this point. Not necessarily that he's going to the Pacers. 33 a year is a bit much for DeAndre Ayton, I'm not going to lie. But you guys know that I'm very high on him in terms of he's a very, very well-conditioned big in an era where you really need bigs. He has NBA Finals experience, an NBA All-Star appearance, and he's young. And it's the Pacers, and it's very difficult for the Pacers to get stars. So this is a massive, massive day for the Indiana Pacers, in my opinion. I do think that they paid more than what maybe the Lakers would pay or the Heat would pay. But I think that's what you have to do when you're a small market like the Pacers. And I think that is worked into the price, to be completely honest with you. So all in all, I'm excited for the Pacers. I really am. Somewhat stunned, poised for disappointment for them if for some reason Phoenix matches, which I doubt they will. But, you got to be patient and not just ink a guy in before something actually gets signed in stone. So in this case, it's looking really good for the Pacers. You guys know I'm huge on Jalen Smith. He is also in place. Sticks is what they call him. I believe his name's Jalen Smith. Forgive me if I got it wrong, but I think it's Jalen Smith. And I just thought that his entire tenure with the Suns wasn't given what it was supposed to be given, more or less. I think that he's a player who should have obviously been given some more playing time, especially in the finals when Dario Saric went down. So I'm super excited to see them reunited and to see the Indiana Pacers use them differently than what the Phoenix Suns would have, and for them to carry the synergy they've already had for many years playing with one another into the Eastern Conference, playing with a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, who I think could be the next Chris Paul, to be completely honest with you. His cerebral ability, his uncanny ability to shoot the ball with his awkward style, the way that they're running the floor already, and how he can keep tempo and keep pace and complement the players that they already have in place. I think the Indiana Pacers have solidified themselves as a serious team in place to continue building. Now, I don't know if they make the playoffs right away, but having Ayton for 4 years, having Smith on tap now, having Halliburton on tap now on a rookie contract, and a bunch of young players that they've been putting together with their farm system and their great scouting department, I think that the Pacers' brighter days are ahead. I don't think the worst is in front of them. I really don't. Even if for some reason this doesn't work out, the direction that they're trying to go into is great. Now, the question I have for them is, are you tanking this year? Because you are bringing on some win-now guys, and Victor is out there. Are you planning on mortgaging your picks now to bring another piece to Indiana? Because that makes a lot of sense to me right now, given the fact that I think Tyrese could win right now. Obviously, Ayton's win now. And though I don't have your roster in mind, I do believe a lot of those players are really good and should be coveted by others in the league. So when you talk about people moving around and where certain teams could try to make things happen, I think the Indiana Pacers are a very good candidate for trying to make something else happen after this. Now, they could be patient with this season, let those guys gel. They don't have a timeline that should rush everything based on their age. And they could just very well just kind of try to make the playoffs, do a nice little gung-ho type of season with the intention of building for years to come. No pun intended with the four, but I think that is key, because at the end of the day, even if they get like a 10th seed, 10th seed, and make the play-in tournament, or what I was intentionally saying was the 10th pick, if their pick isn't very good, you're still adding quality pieces to what they already have. Benedict Mathurin should not be forgotten in this situation. We know how serious he takes himself, and we also understand he has a big game to back it up. So I expect the Pacers to be a up-and-running team. They have a good mixture of win now and developing talent that I think has super upside that could probably contribute right away. So with Ayton in place and Halliburton in place, that is a core right there. Like, that's a legitimate two-man tandem that I think can ascend into perennial all-stars, both of them, especially in the Eastern Conference. So yeah, you got another team to deal with, East Coast. I mean, this is why I say teams like the Knicks, you got to retool smart. Certain teams, you can't be stagnant in the Eastern Conference. It isn't what it used to be. With the Pacers now being a serious team with Ayton in place, he doesn't hardly miss games. Like I said, he's one of the best conditioned bigs. So I do see the pieces they're putting together, and their bench should be fairly strong if I'm thinking clearly. I don't know if they're going to re-sign Omar Brissett, I believe his name is, but he's a heck of a talent, and I like him in that rotation as well of bigs if they do bring him back. Of course, they got to figure out what they want to do with Miles Turner. They've already moved on from Brogdon, so that got them some equity they can move around with as well. So I'm telling you, the Pacers are in a great spot. And I do think if a guy like Kevin Durant decided he wanted to go there, they have the pieces and the picks to probably make it decent for the Nets just to send him to the Pacers. Now, I know he wouldn't want to be in Indy, but you got to understand, Tyrese Halliburton, Ayton for 4 years, KD for 4 years. They could probably do some things in a real way. Now, granted, it's a risk, especially to think that you would have to be in Indiana for 4 years if you're KD. But I'm just saying the Indiana Pacers do have the means of bringing him there. And I don't think they have to give up those two to do it. So, that's something he would never do. But whatever. Either way, very interesting stuff there. Very interesting stuff. Now, as far as the Phoenix Suns are concerned, you guys, I don't know. I don't believe in the Phoenix Suns' vision right now. They've gone too small. Simply too small. I respect the fact that they didn't want to pay Ayton. They never told us they were going to pay Ayton, so that was something nobody was caught off guard by. I respect that aspect of it. But, Chris Paul is aging now. Everybody is used to him playing a certain way, and I respect that he's just defying father time just like Bron is. But at some point, you got to respect that. Two things. Unlike Bron, he hasn't won. And two, unlike Bron, he really had a lot of injury issues over the years. He's a smaller guy in stature. So while I still believe in his game, he's a genius, no question. I just don't know how many more seasons we expect him to play at the level he's been playing these last 3 seasons. And if you leave him out there with no bigs, I mean, that's a nightmare, man. It's a literal nightmare. When you consider this is Chris Paul, basically made his career making bigs look great, from David West to DeAndre Jordan to Blake Griffin, all the way to where we are now with Ayton. And it's like, okay, you can talk about the Houston Rockets situation, but did that work? No. I just respect size a bit more than what Phoenix appears to be right now. And I don't know that they have a whole lot on their bench that makes me excited going up against the field that's continuing to get better and better and better in the Western Conference. I look at teams like Sacramento, I'm like, here goes another team you got to deal with. Now, they got some talent. OKC, look at all that length. Houston, a year older. The Lakers are coming back. The Clippers are coming back. It's like, what is it that I'm looking at there in Phoenix that makes me think they're just going to run through the Western Conference like they've been doing? Especially with Ayton out the door, McGee out the door. You realize how much size that is. I like Biyombo as much as the next guy, but how many minutes you want him to play? Torrey Craig, hey, you gave away Jalen Smith for Torrey Craig. Torrey Craig doesn't look that good on the team now. And did they address their issues? Because three-point shooting was basically the deficiency there. I haven't seen them bring in a shooter. I haven't heard of anything of the sort. All I've heard about all season long is them basically playing Devin Booker, which is a mainstay, and then proceeding to let go of basically everything else, trying to get Kevin Durant. Players that should never be in trade rumors like Mikal Bridges just may happen to fall into Brooklyn's lap in this process. I just don't like the vision. And the fact that KD wants to go there is a head scratcher to me. I just think it's a terrible situation. He's made a good decision going to Golden State in terms of basketball fit, but everything else, man, you might as well just crawl back into OKC, bro. These fits you trying to side into. The Nets fit, you know what I feel about that. No defense. And this, honestly, worse. Worse than the Nets situation. So if there's anything I can say to KD is please rethink your Phoenix choice. Go somewhere else, bro. When somebody is allowing their big men to walk out the door, that is not the place you go, bro. Hell no. But anyway, whatever, man. Phoenix, I feel for you guys. I think it's headed in the wrong direction. I truly do. The smartest thing for y'all to do is get rid of Chris Paul while he still has value. You're not going to do that, and we're going to watch him fade away. And chances are you're going to lose him for much less value than what he's going to bring you, and you're not going to win a championship with this man. So that is what I have to say about that. Devin Booker, it's on you, brother. Average 50, because that's what it's going to take to win a championship. All right, so that's pretty much what I got to say about them, man. Now we're talking about Donovan Mitchell and possibly going to the Knicks. We've already talked about that ad nauseum, but as far as I'm concerned, that looks like that's really ramping up. It's looking possible because the Knicks have such nice assets at this point. But, you know, at this point, also you ask which ones would they be willing to give up? And if they give up the wrong ones, they're going to wish to God they did not. I personally think it may come down to what the Jazz choose or whatever third-party team they, involve in the trade. But for me, as I've said to you guys, I think Obi Toppin's a player that I would prefer to keep and pay. But since I have Julius Randle on tab, if he's not going to be involved in this trade, then it's probably Toppin who's going to be out the door. And then it's Quickly. You know what I mean? I like Quickly a lot, and I want him to stay in New York if I'm a Knicks fan. But if I'm the Utah Jazz, I'm snatching him away from you in this trade. You're not keeping him. So that's going to be interesting to see if Utah covets him the same way I would. And then Quentin Grimes, the way he's played in the summer league is definitely somebody you're going to have to let go of. And I could argue he's your best defensive player right now, not named Robinson, of course. So if I believe that to be the case and you're letting him out the door, hell, if I'm Utah, I might try to take Robinson too, just for sure measure. But if I'm not mistaken, they also took Kessler from Minnesota, so it may not necessarily be necessary. But nevertheless, this is what we're looking at. So I did the trade machine this morning and looked at the type of things that they could do for Donovan Mitchell. And honestly, the Knicks have so many options. But it would have to center around Julius Randle or Evan Fournier. And if I'm Utah, I kind of don't want either one of those contracts. Now, if I have to choose one, I'm probably going to take Julius. But that's just me. I'm a Laker fan. I know Julius's game. I'm not looking to build around Julius, but I think of him as more valuable than Evan Fournier. So while Evan Fournier is probably easier to slip into what I'm doing if I'm Utah because he's just a nice shooter, that contract is more likely to lose even more value if you take it on. So if I want to take some trade equity or some more, not trade equity, I guess that's what it is. If I want to take some more draft equity, then I'll probably take Fournier and then force him to add on picks. So that's kind of how I see that going. Maybe you centerpiece it around Fournier, and if that's the case, give me Obi. I'm gonna need Obi too if I'm Utah. So that's really what it is. It's like they can add so many of these nice young players because they're not really on huge contracts. The contract that Matt Donovan is either, as I said, Julius or Evan. So one of them dudes is going to Utah. That's a fact. But it's a matter of course, not a fact. It has to be done, but that's what it's looking like. And then from there, it's just a matter of who Utah wants and what makes sense to Utah. Snatching up from all of those young players. And also, RJ Barrett could be on the move too. He could be on the move too. I think he's around. I don't remember. I don't want to assume his number, but it's much less than Fournier and Randall. But if I'm not mistaken, he was up for extension or something like that. So whatever the case may be, you're going to have to pay for him too if you're Utah. I would like to bring him in if I'm Utah. I would. Give me RJ Barrett, man. I think that kid's well on his way to being an all-star. He just scores so easily. It's ridiculous how easily he scores. So if I had a choice, and I'll probably leave the New York Knicks with some draft equity since we have so much already from the Timberwolves, and I'm taking more of those young, talented players. If I'm giving you Donovan Mitchell and I'm assuming his price tag is just stupidly inflated, like crazy inflated, then that's what I'm doing. I'll probably take like maybe 3 picks, and then the rest is me just clearing you out. Clearing you out. Give me Quickly, give me Grimes, give me Toppin, and of course Barrett, and probably something else too, honestly, because that's how I see this going. It's ugly because they're getting fleeced, but they value Donovan Mitchell this way, just like they value Jalen Brunson this way. They're relying upon the hometown energy. Jalen Brunson's dad is very much in there with the Knicks, and so a lot has been said about Donovan Mitchell's ties to the Mets and all of this. So it's a lot going on that I don't think really has a whole lot to do with basketball. And it really feels good for sentiment. I was on board with that type of thing last year when we brought Westbrook to the Lakers, but honestly, you guys, that sentiment crap does not work. It don't work. I want to bring this guy here because he's from here. I want to bring that guy here because his dad's here. That doesn't work. Not when you're trying to win a championship. Not if the pieces don't absolutely fit in place with one another. So, trust me, I'm a Laker fan. We do a lot of that. It rarely ends with us being happy with it. So, I've seen the Knicks do it just as much. Stephon Marbury and Carmelo Anthony. They always want to bring somebody home, and it's never to win. So, yeah, we'll see that again, I'm sure. But it is what it is, man. Hopefully this will be a better Knick era than what we've seen in the past. Maybe they get a little closer. Maybe even win it. I don't know, but I doubt it. At the end of the day, the field is too big, too strong, too fast, man. You can't build that small. We've talked about that, and that's just what it is. So we'll see it play out. Either way, that's what it is. That's what I have to say. And if there's any more news, obviously I'll bring it your way. I think Pacer fans should stand up. It's time for Indiana to get on the map. I think Mathurin and his attitude, Taylor coming out of nowhere, all these different guys, and now Ayton and Halliburton. This should not have happened. The Pacers are not supposed to be able to first get Halliburton at all. And then a year later, they're able to land Ayton for 4 years. That is enticing for Tyrese Halliburton to sign his extension with the Pacers. He was happy in Sacramento. He's going to be happy in Indiana. This is a blessing from the basketball gods. I'm telling you, this is ridiculous. They have inherited talent out of nowhere in ways that just feel like blessings, man. So I don't know. If they end up winning the championship with this core, I won't be surprised because this is some blessing stuff. I'm telling you. Like, I don't know how they're getting all of this, but they're getting it. So, happy to see it, man. I am very happy to see it. Also, speaking of the Pacers, the ABA players are going to be getting their money. It's been long fought for. Reggie Miller and Charles Barkley have been advocates for this. It's why we never seen them in any video games, I found out. And they've been rewarded several million. I think it's in the 20s or something. They got to split it up amongst each other. But that is going to help a lot of people who are in some really tough times right now who played that game in that league and help set the foundation for what it is we're seeing right now. So they're going to get some kickback money, which is ultimately what we want to see on this channel. It's one of the things we're fighting for, so that the kids of the future, you know what I'm saying, can kind of have none of these issues. You know what I mean? When they come into the league, they play. The guys who are playing today, when they turn 50 and 60 and 70, they shouldn't be poor. There should be some kickback money, or at least enough money from now to keep them good for the rest of their lives. So that's what it's about, man. Happy to see those guys get their kickback money, and hopefully it does some real good in there where they're at. So what I got to say about that. Congratulations, and now we get to see Chuck and Reggie in these video games. So yeah, I don't really play the games no more, honestly, but it is what it is, man. They're going to be back in there, and that's a big deal. So that's what it is. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.